Huge blast at key Iranian port kills at least 14, injures more than 700. Malaysia vows strong energy security efforts. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Daniel Bahardin and this is World Today. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has extended his congratulations to Barisan Nasional candidate Dr. Muhammad Yusri Bakir on his victory in the Air Kuning state by-election. In his post on Facebook, Datuk Seri Anwar also promised that the voice of the people will be translated with grace and competence. Dr. Muhammad Yusri secured a 5,006 vote majority after polling 11,065 votes in the three-cornered by-election yesterday. His closest rival, Abdul Muhaimin Malik of Perikatan Nasional, received 6,059 votes, while Bawani KS of Parti Socialist Malaysia garnered 1,106 votes. The result of the by-election, which was announced by returning officer Ahmad Ridauddin Ahmad Shokori, also reaffirms Air Kuning as a BN stronghold, a position the coalition has maintained since 1986. An immense blast in Iran's southern port of Shahid Rajai has killed at least 14 people and injured more than 700, according to state media, with an official suggesting the fire was caused by the explosion of chemical containers. A spokesperson for Iran's crisis management body pointed to poor storage conditions of chemicals as the trigger for the port explosion. Hossein Zafari, a crisis management spokesperson, told Iran's news agency that the cause of the explosions was the chemicals inside the containers. He added that the port administration had previously been warned about the danger these chemicals pose. The Iranian government has not yet specified the exact cause of the explosion, though it suspected combustible chemicals to be behind the blast. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian ordered a thorough and urgent investigation into the circumstances of the explosion, which local officials said began in several containers in the port. Shahid Rajai is a large Iranian container facility that handles 80 million tons of goods a year, including fuel and other combustible materials. The explosion occurred as Iran began a third round of nuclear talks with the United States in Oman, but there was no indication of a link between the two events. Malaysia has reaffirmed its commitment to a just and resilient energy transition at the Summit on the Future of Energy Security held in London. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof stressed Malaysia's goal of balancing accessibility, energy security and affordability in its transition strategy. Datuk Seri Fadilah, who is also the Energy Transition and Water Transformation Minister, led the Malaysian delegation. The two-day summit brought together global leaders to address key energy challenges, including regional system integration, climate resilience, and the adoption of new technologies. Malaysia also highlighted its leadership role as ASEAN 2025 chair, using the summit to push forward regional initiatives such as the ASEAN Power Grid and the National Energy Transition Roadmap, or NETR. The delegation held key meetings with UK officials and the International Energy Agency's Executive Director, Dr. Fatih Birol, to boost bilateral cooperation in the energy sector. According to the ministry, Malaysia's active role reflects its commitment to the values of Malaysia Madani, especially sustainability, inclusiveness and well-being for future generations. The summit was co-hosted by the UK government and the IEA, aiming to shape the future of global energy security. The process and pace of nuclear talks with the United States is satisfactory, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said on Saturday, adding that both sides showed seriousness and determination in their now concluded third round of negotiations.
یه مقداری از بحث‌های کلان فاصله گرفتیم. این معنیش نیست که ما اختلافات همه حل شده، نه. هم در موضوعات کلان اختلافات وجود داره، هم در جزئیات وجود داره. تا جلسه بعدی قرار هست که بررسی‌های بیشتری در پایتخت‌ها صورت بگیره که ما چگونه میشه اختلافات رو کم کرد.
In an interview with the local media, Arakji added that there were still disagreements on both broad issues and details. A senior U.S. administration official described the talks as positive and productive, adding that both sides agreed to meet again in Europe soon. Earlier, Omani Foreign Minister Badr al-Busaidi said talks would continue next week, with another high-level meeting provisionally scheduled for 3rd May, and Oman would announce the venue. In Iran, a series of U.S. strikes on territory under Houthi fighters' control, including the Yemeni capital Sana'a on Saturday, had wounded at least 8 people, including 2 children. The Houthis, who control large parts of the war-torn country, also reported strikes in other parts of the country, including their stronghold Sada in the north. They said the fuel port of Ras Isa in the western Hodeida region, where 80 people were killed in strikes just over a week ago, had also been hit. The Houthis have also regularly launched missiles and drones at Israel and at cargo vessels plying the key Red Sea trade route. The U.S. military has since January 2024 been attacking the Houthis. Since U.S. President Donald Trump took office, those attacks have intensified, with almost daily strikes for the past month. On Saturday, the Houthis said they had launched a missile and 2 drones at Israel, where the occupation forces said it had intercepted a missile from Yemen and a drone coming from the east. CENTCOM, the U.S. military command in the region, also posted footage from the U.S. aircraft carriers Harry S. Truman and Carl Vinson conducting strikes against the Houthis. Russian security forces have detained a Ukrainian spy accused of killing a senior Russian general in a car bomb attack in Moscow's suburbs on Friday. The FSB Secret Service said they had apprehended Ukrainian Special Services agent Ignat Kuzin, who had planted explosives in a Volkswagen Golf to kill General Yaroslav Moskalik. General Moskalik had been deputy head of the main operational directorate of the military's general staff. He died after walking past the car parked outside his house in the suburb of Balashika. The FSB said Kuzin had rigged the car with a homemade explosive device, and the bomb had then been set off remotely from Ukraine. The FSB said the suspect had been recruited by Ukraine in 2023 and had driven to Moscow in September that year. Russian media also reported that the FSB had released a video showing the detained man giving an apparent confession, as well as footage of his arrest and of the bomb's components. The Kremlin had on Friday blamed Ukraine for the attack. General Moskalik had represented Russia in talks with Ukraine in Paris in 2015, which resulted in the failed Minsk agreements, which aimed to end the fighting in the Donbas region between Ukraine and Russian-backed separatist forces that started in 2014. Coming up next, 400,000 mourners, world leaders honor Pope Francis in Vatican farewell. Despite facing geopolitical challenges and pressures on the global supply chain, major U.S. semiconductor companies represented by the Semiconductor Industry Association (SIA) remain committed to continuing their investments in Malaysia. The Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry, Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Abdul Aziz, said this was conveyed during a strategic meeting with U.S. industry leaders and policymakers, including SIA representatives in Washington, D.C. recently. On his social media post, Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul added that the meeting further strengthened Malaysia's mission to emerge as a key player in the global semiconductor and high-tech industries, in line with the implementation of the National Semiconductor Strategy (NSS) and the new Industrial Master Plan 2030 (NIMP 2030). He stressed that the ministry is committed to positioning Malaysia as a sustainable and progressive investment hub built on mutually beneficial bilateral economic cooperation. Malaysia has expressed its openness to negotiate with the US on 4 key areas, namely reducing the trade deficit, addressing non-tariff barriers, strengthening technological safeguards and security, and exploring a potential bilateral trade agreement. Malaysia will take part in public hearings at the International Court of Justice (ICJ) in The Hague starting Monday, addressing Israel's obligation in the occupied Palestinian territory. The hearings, running from 28 April to 2nd of May, will explore Israel's legal responsibilities and the role of UN international organizations and other states in the conflict. Leading the Malaysian delegation is Law and Institutional Reform Minister Datuk Sri Azalina Othman Said, supported by senior officials from Wisma Putra, the Attorney General's Chambers and Malaysian Embassy in The Hague. Datuk Sri Azalina is scheduled to deliver Malaysia's address on 28 April at 11 p.m. Malaysian time. This marks Malaysia's third time participating in ICJ advisory proceedings on Palestine after earlier involvement in 2004 and again this year. Malaysia co-sponsored the UN resolution that led to these hearings and submitted a written statement in February highlighting Israel's violations of international law and the urgent need for accountability. The Foreign Ministry said this move reflects Malaysia's firm stance on justice, peace and support for Palestinian statehood based on pre-1967 borders with East Jerusalem as the capital. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has appointed a close aide as Vice President. Wasil Abu Yusuf, a member of the Palestine Liberation Organization PLO's Executive Committee, said on Saturday that Hussein al-Sheikh was named Vice President of the PLO leadership. Abbas, 89, created the vice presidency position during the 32nd session of the Palestinian Central Council in Ramallah earlier this week. During the session, Abbas reaffirmed his commitment to initiating a comprehensive national dialogue which aims to engage all Palestinian factions to achieve reconciliation and reinforce national unity. Abbas also informed the committee on upcoming political efforts aimed at halting the ongoing Israeli aggression and war of genocide in the Gaza Strip. These include ensuring the rapid entry of humanitarian and medical aid, full Palestinian governance over Gaza, and pushing for a total Israeli withdrawal from the enclave as a step towards launching a political process to end the occupation and realize an independent Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. The appointment comes as Arab and Western powers envision an expanded role for the Palestinian Authority in the Gaza Strip's post-war governance. Hundreds of thousands gathered in Rome on Saturday to bid a final farewell to Pope Francis, the first Latin American Pope and a global voice for the poor and vulnerable. The Vatican says 400,000 mourners filled St. Peter's Square and lined the streets for the funeral, joined by more than 50 world leaders, including US President Donald Trump. Francis, who passed away Monday at the age of 88 following a stroke, led the Catholic Church for 12 years. His final act was a humble Easter blessing, a call to protect the marginalized last week. His simple wooden coffin, sealed by red wax, was laid to rest at Rome's Santa Maria Maggiore in a private ceremony. Francis' papacy, marked by compassion and reform, followed the historic resignation of Pope Benedict XVI in 2013. Following the funeral, cardinals under 80 will soon begin the process of electing the next pope. Tight security surrounded the event, with fighter jets on standby and snipers guarding rooftops across the Vatican. Among those paying respects were UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky. The Malaysian government is represented by Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Law and Institutional Reform, Datuk Sri Azalina Othman Said, and Minister of Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives, Datuk Iwan Benedict. Tensions are rising once again between India and Pakistan following a deadly attack in Indian-administered Kashmir. New Delhi blames Islamabad for the assault in Pahalgam on 22nd April, where gunmen killed 26 tourists, the deadliest civilian attack in the region in 25 years. India accuses Pakistan of supporting cross-border terrorism and has linked the attackers to Lashkar-e-Taiba, a UN-designated terrorist organization. Pakistan strongly denies involvement with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, says Islamabad is open to a neutral, transparent investigation. Meanwhile, Indian forces have launched a massive manhunt targeting suspects and even demolishing homes linked to the attack. Both countries have imposed diplomatic restrictions, and India has warned media outlets to avoid live coverage of military operations, citing national security. International calls for calm are growing, with the UN is urging restraint, while Iran and Saudi Arabia have offered to mediate. US President Donald Trump has downplayed the tensions, saying that the dispute will get figured out one way or another. Chinese social media platform TikTok will enter the online shopping industry in Japan within the next few months. A local daily reported that the company is preparing to recruit sellers soon for its e-commerce arm TikTok shop in Japan, citing a source involved in the operations. TikTok shop, where users can run live streams selling everything from sneakers to eyeshadow and earn a commission on sales, is known for discounted products. TikTok is looking to expand its business outside of the US, where it awaits a deal that will secure its presence in the country. In March, TikTok Shop launched to users in France, Germany and Italy, expanding its reach further into Europe. Last week, US President Donald Trump said a deal over the fate of the social media platform may have to wait. This is as he signaled a potential end to the tit-for-tat tariff hikes between the US and China that shocked markets. Earlier, Trump had extended the deadline to spin off the US assets of TikTok for the second time in April and reassured a potential deal is still on the table. Chelsea star ends goal drought as Blues revive Champions League, push 5 talking points. We kick off our sports segment with English Premier League. Chelsea climbed back into contention for next season's Champions League with a 1-0 home win over Everton in the Premier League on Saturday, thanks to a fine first-half strike by Nicholas Jackson. The Senegalese striker finished off a pass from Enzo Fernandez in the 27th minute to end his 4-month goal drought. Enzo Maresca's side should have scored more goals but were denied by Everton's solid defence and their goalkeeper Jordan Pickford. Cole Palmer buzzed round the Everton box, but his 3-month goal drought continued as once again Chelsea failed to capitalise on a good start. The home side suffered a tense final 15 minutes, with Everton sensing their nerves forging forward. Chelsea's goalkeeper Robert Sanchez also played a crucial role in the victory by denying Everton's best chance through Dwight McNeil in the 88th minute. The win lifted Chelsea to 5th place in the league, just 1 point behind Manchester City, while Everton sit in 14th place. Johor Darul Takzim JDT achieved a triple treble when they clinched the Malaysia Cup by beating Sri Pahang FC 2-1 at National Stadium Bukit Jalil last night. The local powerhouse has won the country's 3 major footballing titles, the Super League, the FA Cup and the Malaysia Cup, in a single season thrice, completing an amazing feat, the triple treble. The first half sole goal came from Sri Pahang when T. Saravanan slotted home the loose ball after JDT keeper Ahmad Shihan Hazmi Muhammad failed to catch Alexander Chatkovic's header. However, Sri Pahang's luck began to wane after their first goal as Sergio Aguero was sent off after receiving his second yellow card in the 35th minute. JDT came back on the pitch exuding confidence in the second half, and not more than 10 minutes later, an incident inside the penalty area between Pahang's Muhammad Azril Nasrul Haq Badrul Hisham and JDT's Oscar Arribas led to a VAR review and referee Razlan Joffrey Ali awarding a penalty to JDT, which Bergson calmly converted in the 54th minute. The match was more or less even out 3 minutes later when JDT went a man down after Park Jun-hyung got his marching orders after earning his second yellow card of the match. But it was not to be Sri Pahang's night, as JDT seemingly smelled victory in the air as Arif Aiman caught a long ball and scored the winning goal in the 73rd minute. The 2-1 result would stay till the final whistle blew, and JDT were crowned Malaysia Cup champions for 2025. Into Women's Baseball Asian Cup qualifiers, Thailand 2025. After a rough start to their campaign, Women Baseball Malaysia's team roared back to life with a crucial victory over Cambodia early yesterday morning. The national team had a shaky start, committing several unforced errors that allowed Cambodia to collect 4 runs in the top of the first inning, top 1. However, the players showed great fighting spirit, mounting a fierce comeback in the bottom of the first inning, bottom 1, producing 11 runs that reignited the team's morale. Nur Afrina binti Azman Ali emerged as the heroine of the match, contributing 4 runs, followed by Siti Nur Farahin and Nur Shazwani, who each recorded 3 runs. Nur Alisha, Nashita and Hawanis each contributed 2 runs, while Aisha Nabila and Nur Shahira added 1 run apiece. The team's defense grew stronger in the following innings thanks to an outstanding performance by pitcher Nurul Emilia Abdulrazi, who prevented Cambodia from adding any more runs. Amelia pitched throughout the game, recording 6 strikeouts with an ERA of 1.2. WBM will face Sri Lanka tomorrow in a match that will determine their final standings. Badminton Association of Malaysia BAM Honorary Life President Tan Sri Muhammad Norza Zakaria has been elected as the Badminton World Federation BWF Council member for the 2025 to 2029 term on Saturday. In a statement, BAM extended its heartfelt congratulations to Muhammad Norza, describing his election as a reflection of the global badminton community's recognition of his leadership, vision and long-standing commitment to the sport's growth, both in Malaysia and internationally. The statement added BAM, represented at the BWF Annual General Meeting AGM in Xiamen, China, is proud to see Malaysian representation continue at the highest level of world badminton governance. BAM also wished the Olympic Council of Malaysia President continued success as he embarks on his new role to serve the global badminton fraternity. Last November, the 58-year-old corporate figure was made as the BAM Honorary Life President after he stepped down from the presidency post last August. In another development, Thailand's Kunying Patama Liswatrakul has been confirmed as the new BWF President. Still to come on our offbeat segment, automakers tout cinematic experiences at mini kitchens at Shanghai Auto Show. Grinning mischievously, Juanjo Albizu dons a baseball cap, tucks his t-shirt neatly into his sweatpants and adjusts the Velcro straps on his elbow pads before positioning his skateboard on the bowl's edge, ready for the drop. Albizu's attempt at a gnarly trick draws stares because the athlete is a sight to behold, wheeling around the unassuming skate park in northern Spain, having just turned 88. For the cheerful octogenarian, each skating session begins by carefully clearing the square bowl of pebbles to guarantee a smooth ride. Albizu took up skateboarding aged 70, partly because it was cheaper than his beloved snow sports.
No solamente que te mantenga en forma, sino como es una actividad que no es la usual, no es lo que haces tú todos los días, al romper un poco la rutina, al romper un poco esto, la vida cotidiana, pues lo que haces es darle una cosa nueva. Y eso descansa.
Mobile application. Car makers looking to make a splash at Shanghai's auto show look to lure picky Chinese consumers with high-tech digital cockpits, in-car refrigerators, fragrance controls, and hot pot making facilities. Anything that can give their cars an edge over rivals in the world's largest auto market, where competition is cutthroat and innovation is constant. More than 100 new models have been unveiled at this year's auto show, with crowds flocking to see Chinese EV maker XPeng's experimental flying car, a drone capable of carrying passengers. However, perhaps the most unusual in-car addition came from China's Rox Moto. The Rox 01, an all-terrain luxury SUV priced from 299,900 yuan, is looking to capitalize on a trend for camping and outdoor lifestyle pursuits with its tailgate kitchen extender kit. Kawasaki Robotics unveiled a concept ride-on robot that they believe could become a reality by 2050. Called Corleo, the ride-on robot Lion is an all-terrain personal mobility vehicle powered by a hydrogen-burning electric generator driving motors on each leg. Kawasaki says the rider can control the machine through weight shifts detected by steps and handlebars, like a cross between riding a motorcycle, a horse, and a Segway. The front and rear legs operate independently, allowing it to absorb shocks during walking, running, jumping, and allow the rider to maintain a comfortable posture even when climbing. Each leg is equipped with a rubber hoof that grips various surfaces, adapting to diverse terrains like grasslands, rocky areas, and rubble fields. The instrument panel displays crucial information such as hydrogen levels, route to the summit, and the center of gravity position. At night, it enhances riding by projecting markers onto the road surface to indicate the path ahead. With funding from the Bezos Earth Fund, Imperial College London is investigating methods to create the food that astronauts and people back on Earth can produce sustainably using biofoundries, where cells are turned into mini factories producing useful products. Their thesis has now been tested in space when Europe's first commercial returnable spacecraft, called Phoenix 1, carried their cells into space in a miniaturized automated laboratory called Space Lab, launched on board a SpaceX Falcon 9 from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida on Tuesday. Space Lab is a lab-in-a-box technology providing bioexperimentation in microgravity without the traditional barriers to space-based research.
So the solution is using microbes, so microorganisms such as bacteria or yeast, that we are currently using on Earth to make some of these products already. So we can do microbial foods, we can produce ingredients like vitamins that are required for human health, we can make bioplastics, we can make pharmaceuticals. So if we bring a tiny little cell out in space, that cell can then grow and produce everything we need.
And that wrap up our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story, 14 killed, over 700 injured after massive explosion in southern Iran's port. Do join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM for more news. Or you can stream us online on RTM Click's website and mobile application. Till then, I'm Daniel Baharuddin. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you for watching. Assalamualaikum. Salam Malaysia Madani.